you, gentlemen. Like Chairman McCain's statement today, General Petraeus was here recently, and in his testimony, he also emphasized that in the Middle East, there's no easy answers, but that inaction has costs, whether it's others filling the vacuum like we're seeing with Russia and the Middle East and in Syria, or whether U.S. credibility is undermined, especially when inaction contradicts policy statements. I think this is and I think most of the members of the committee see this as a significant problem, not only in the Middle East, but beyond. General Dunford, do you believe that inaction has its own costs, and how does the U.S. military weigh the costs of inaction, of doing nothing, when you're presenting options to the president for options on what we should be doing in the military, in the Middle East?
First of all, Senator, I absolutely agree that inaction is unacceptable when we talk about protecting our national interests, so there's no question about that. And with regard to when we provide military options to a particular challenge, absolutely, I think it's my responsibility to clearly articulate both the opportunity cost and the risk associated with not taking action against a particular issue.
Thank you. Secretary Carter, many members of the committee have been concerned about U.S. inaction in another part of the world, in the South China Sea. And a lot of us on this committee saw that inaction was raising costs and undermining U.S. credibility. There was a number of us who were complimentary of your speech at the Shangri-La Dialogue. I was going to express concern about that, but just read in the paper about the freedom of navigation operation that we evidently conducted inside a 12-mile zone of a built-up Chinese island just yesterday. Is that true? Did we do that?
We have made a commitment, and I appreciate your support, as part of our rebalance to the Asia-Pacific, which is so important to America's future. We're doing more at sea. We're doing more in the way of presence. And just to give a general answer to what you said, we have said, and we are acting on the basis of saying that we will fly, sail, and operate wherever international law permits.
Did we send a destroyer yesterday inside the 12-mile zone of one of the...
that? There have been naval operations in that region in recent days, and there will be in the weeks and months.
Inside the 12-mile zone of a
I don't want to comment
built
on
up
a particular operation, but
you don't want to comment. It's all over the press right now.
I'm sure it is, but we reserve the right to conduct.
If we do that within a built-up island that was undersea submerged rock, is that consistent with international law?
Yes, it is.
So should we be doing that on a regular basis in terms of freedom of navigation exercises?
We will fly, sail, and operate wherever international law permits and whenever our operational needs require.
It'd be good to know, just for the committee's perspective, whether or not the press reports are accurate of what we did. Let me ask another question about another area in the world where it seems like U.S. inaction clearly seems to be inviting more Russian aggression, where Russian actions are changing facts on the ground. Mr. Secretary, in your confirmation hearing, you talked about the Arctic is going to be a major area of importance to the United States, but strategically and economically in the future. But you said it's fair to say that we're late to the recognition of that. I think it's also fair to say that the Russians are not late to the recognition of that. Since your confirmation, the Russians have done the following in the Arctic: a new Arctic military command, 4 new Arctic brigade combat teams, 14 new operational airfields in the Russian Arctic, announcements of up to 50 new airfields by 2020, a 30% increase of Russian special forces in the Arctic, 40 icebreakers. We have 2, one is broken. Huge new land claims in the Arctic, increased long-range air patrols with their bear bombers, the most since the Cold War, a major military exercise in March that caught the U.S. military completely off guard, 45,000 troops, over 3,000 military vehicles, 41 naval ships, 15 submarines, 110 military aircraft, numerous elements of Russia's Western Military District and elite airborne troops in that exercise. A lot of this concerns the committee. In the NDAA, which the president vetoed, we had a unanimous agreement here to create an operations plan for the Arctic. That's an important step to ensuring we have continued good options in the Arctic. Can I get your commitment, both of you, to work with this committee on a robust military plan that will enable us to check Russia's aggressions in the Arctic, keep our options open, and maintain our credibility in that important area of the world, given that that's in the NDAA right now?
Yeah, you have mine, and I appreciate your leadership in this regard. The Arctic is an important region for the United States and actually for the entire world. And so we need to do more there, and I appreciate the fact that you are a champion of that and can consider me a supporter, and I appreciate it. And we'll have a chance actually to discuss that in Alaska later this week.
Yes, sir. Thank you. General Dunford?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.